Hi everyone, I'm João Araújo. I'm a professor at State University of Rio de Janeiro, and I'm here today to present you a tutorial about the E-Foto project. Today we'll see the project manager. Let's go. Welcome to the new E-Foto project channel. In this tutorial I will not cover the installation of E-Foto on the computer. Hope you already have it installed. If not installed, you should go to our website and download the appropriate version for your operating system. It's pretty easy. But if you have any problems, you can ask me here in the comments. I will try to help you as much as possible. To obtain a good photogrammetric project, it is essential that you have all the necessary data before starting. For our tutorial, we will use images and data available on our website. The images are from the region of the University of the State of Rio de Janeiro, in the neighborhood of Maracanã in Rio de Janeiro. On the website, you must go to Downloads, and then to Data and Images. On this page, you will see all the files needed for our tutorials. Some won't be needed in this first tutorial, but you'll already have them for the next tutorials. You must download them and then extract the compressed file. We also have photos and PDF files that should all be placed in the same folder on your computer. We are going to copy all the files to a folder that we are going to create especially for our project. Heads up, the folder name must not contain accented characters, cedilla or space. This folder must also be in a path with the same characteristics, that is, no directory above must have accented characters, cedilla or space. Our folder here will be called Tutorial E-Foto. We copy all the files and then extract each one of them. After doing so, you can delete the zipped file. Now we have everything we need for our tutorial. Let's open E-Foto and start a new project. The program will open a window for you to choose where you will save this new project. Let's put it in the same folder we just created. Let's call our project the E-Foto tutorial. Likewise, this name must not have an accented character, cedilla or space. This is still the small bug in E-Foto, and one day we will fix it. The default extension here is EPP, which stands for E-Foto Photogrammetric Project. Click OK to save everything. Initially, the project is empty, and we still have to fill in several fields before starting the photogrammetry. In the main menu, we have other options that we will see in the next tutorials. In the Help About option, you can find out which version of E-Foto you are running. Let's start our project. First, we click on Edit to be able to type the project header. You must give it a name. I'll call it UERJ Project, also without accented characters, cedilla or space. A succinct description. I'm writing in English, but you can write in any language. All these fields are for documentation only. They are not used in E-Foto photogrammetric calculations, but it is important that you document your project well. Then we put the project owner, your objective. You can also put a context. All metadata is auto-populated. After everything is filled in, we click OK to save. Now let's fill in data about the terrain. We need some basic data for our project. In the project folder, we will open the file with the terrain data. It is together with the images. Now let's fill in the maximum altitude, the minimum altitude, and the average altitude of the terrain. These data are related to the geoid, that is, to the mean sea level. I also have to say what are the approximate latitude and longitude coordinates of the center of the project area. We fill the fuse of our cartographic projection system, CPS, and we can choose the geodetic reference system, GRS. In the case of the cartographic projection system, the only option is the UTM. Don't forget that we must choose whether the project is relative to the southern or northern hemisphere, and whether it is east or west of Greenwich. After that, just click OK to save the data. If you hover your mouse cursor over the fields, E-Foto gives you a reminder of what each one means. Let's go to the sensor form. This form is quite long, but it is easy to fill out. To complete it, we need your calibration certificate that we downloaded earlier. I'm going to put it on the side. Let's edit the sensor. First information is the sensor identifier, and also a succinct description. Again, this field is for project documentation only. In the sensor type, we identify the detection mechanism, which can be film or digital. In our case, it will be film. For now, we don't have a geometry option, which must always be frame. And the platform is always aerial. At some point in the future, we will program other options here. The energy source is always natural. In the future, we intend to expand these options. We will also say whether our interior orientation calculation model will use fiducial marks, sensor dimensions, or fixed parameters. In our case, it will be fiducial marks. This choice will change the end of the form. We'll see that later. Let's now fill in the calibration certificate data. First the number, and then the date. We may also determine an expiration date, if any. In the sensor data, we put the calibrated focal length and the coordinates of the main point, which in this case are negative. If we have the standard deviation, we can fill it in here as well. Now let's fill in the symmetrical radial distortion coefficients of the lenses. All this data is available in the sensor certificate. We can also disable these fields if we don't want to use them in our calculations. Let's copy the certificate data. We will do the same for the decentered distortion coefficients. Let's now move on to the fiducial marks data. This field will be different if we have chosen to use sensor size or fixed parameters. In our case, we are using fiducial marks, but if you are using sensor size, this form will present itself with fields that allow you to provide the necessary data. Likewise, if you have chosen fixed parameters, this form will have another configuration. In our tutorial, it is enough to fill in the 4 fiducial marks, but it could also be 8 marks. Here I will simply copy the certificate data. The importance of the sensor configuration in the project will be in the execution of the interior orientation, which we call OI. Now let's fill in the flight details. For this, we will open the file we downloaded with the flight data. We fill in the flight identifier, which is a mandatory field, the ID, the name of the producer, that is, the company that produced this flight, if any, a description that could be the location of the flight. We also fill in the date the flight took place. Here we put the flight parameters, the nominal altitude above sea level, the nominal scale, as well as the overlap data between the images. For our images, we have 60% longitudinal overlap, that is, along the flight line, and 30% transversal, that is, between the 2 flight lanes. When finished, just click OK. Now that we've filled in all the data, let's import the images from our project. Here we have the fields that indicate whether interior and exterior orientation have already been performed for these images. If the tabs are not visible, you can adjust the size of the fields. Here I will show you 2 ways to import the images into the project. First, importing only one at a time. Click on New and E-Foto opens the form with the image fields. Then we click on Select Image to be able to load the image. The formats accepted here are JPEG, TIFF, BMP, and PNG. Let's import them from the directory where we downloaded. I like to use simpler name, so I'm going to edit this field here. We also have to inform what resolution is used in the image. If we have the information on the ground coordinates of the center of the exposure, that is, corresponding to the optical center of the sensor, we can fill it in here. We can also fill in the data from the inertial navigation system. These are the sensor attitude angles, omega, phi, and kappa in radians with their standard deviations. These fields are not mandatory. Metadata is extracted automatically. Another way to import images is to import multiple images at once. We choose more than one image by pressing the Shift key and slide the cursor over the images. Before uploading the images, E-Foto will ask you what the resolution of the images is. I'll edit the image identifier here for simpler names. I prefer it that way, but that's not mandatory either. Don't forget to frequently save your project. we can view the images in a special window. This window has 3 parts. The main part is where we perform visualization operations. We have an overview window and a detail window. As we move the cursor over the main window, the details window shows in the more detailed view. We can change the zoom value that the main window provides from 1 to 8 times magnification. We can also change the zoom of the main window or choose a specific area of the image to zoom. Clicking the mouse and holding it at the same time, we make a rectangle. We have several visualizations options here. Try them. Here we can see that no image has the interior or exterior orientation performed. Now let's fill in the points used in the project. I'm going to open the files with the images of the points we are going to use here. Each image shows an overview of where the points were measured, as well as all the data obtained in that measurement. We also have images taken from Google Maps to show exactly the measured point in the photo. I'm going to fill in the point P01 here. The type of this point is control, but it can also be photogrammetric or checking point. Here we write a succinct description of the point. In this case, it is the Van Hargem square. Let's put the document to the side so we can better copy the information. First, I copy the spatial coordinates. Here E-Foto shows the information calculated for each point. For now, everything is empty. We can adjust the tabs to see better. This process would be very tedious if we have too many points. A simpler way to do this is to import all points at once from a text file. Let's look at the file we downloaded from the website. This file has all the measurements made at the points, 1 point per line. In each line we have the name of the point and values of E, N, and H, respectively. As we have already entered point 1, I will delete it from the list to avoid having a duplicate point. When importing, E-Foto doesn't do this check, so that's why I delete and save the file. Now I can import normally that it will only come with the new points. Here are all the points already imported. I can also export a list of points to a text file. Unfortunately, the description of the points is not imported, and we will have to edit these points one by one. Now we have everything we need to make the measurements, but we will see that in the next video. That's all for today. And if you think this video was useful, don't forget to subscribe this channel and set the notifications. Thanks for watching.